Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome our guests of honor for today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome our guests of Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome our guests of Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome our guests of Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome our guests of Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome our guests of Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bob, there is a technical issue, I think.
I think some of the participants, they are on their mic, so there's some echoes. Yeah.
Maybe you can just mute all of them.
Yeah, sure. There's some echoes. Yeah.
Maybe you can just
muting
mute all of them.
everyone.
You need to start again, Bang.
Sure.
Maybe you can just mute all of
everyone.
You need to start again, Bang.
Right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon. Sorry for the technical issues. Once again, we wish everyone a very warm welcome to Malaysia Rugby, to the Academy Rugby Malaysia. This is the finale of the webinar series hosted by Academy Rugby Malaysia. And first of all, we'd like to welcome our special guest, Mr. George Danapal, Asia Rugby Match Officials Development Consultant, all the way from Singapore. Thank you very much, Mr. George. It's such a pleasure to have you here this afternoon. And we also like to welcome Mr. Fahmy Jalil, Vice President of Malaysia Rugby and also World Rugby Match Commissioner. And not forgetting Cikgu Ahmad Effendi, the Director of Referee of Malaysia Rugby.
Cikgu Fendi, Exco Malaysia Rugby, and also Director of Referee Board. Cik Raja, Coordinator Referee Board of Malaysia Rugby, Mr. Siva, Board of Referee Malaysia Rugby, and also Rohimi, Coordinator Competitions Board for Malaysia Rugby, and our special guest today, Mr. George, Abang George, our good friends, right? Our Asia Rugby Match Officials Development Consultants. So thank you very much for your time today, George. I know it's like a Sunday, it's like family time for you, but you spend your time for us in Malaysia, especially for all the newcomers, all the new beginners match officials that we have today on the live today. And also Malaysia Rugby would like to congratulate you for your new appointment as a consultant of Asia Rugby on the match officials. So for the participant today, I would like to ask you if you have any question, kalau ada apa-apa soalan, nak tahu lebih lanjut tentang perjalanan diri anda untuk menjadi ke arah Asia Rugby ataupun jadi high performance untuk Asia Rugby punya match officials, please take this opportunity, gunakan platform yang ada hari ini untuk tanya apa yang selama ni terbuku di hati anda ataupun confused ataupun rasa sia-sia ke, kita tanya hari ni, then make it clear, then kita boleh merancang untuk perjalanan kita pada masa akan datang. So pass to you, George. Thank you very much. Wish everyone have good fun today. Best of luck.
Right, thank you very much, Fahmy, for the welcoming speech. For our participant, should you have any question while George is presenting, feel free to use the chat features on the right-hand side, or we can also use the raise hand features or raise hand function to ask a question directly to George. Right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Mr. George Danapal, Asia Rugby Match Officials Development Consultant, for his presentation. Over to you, George.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon.
George, you on mute, George.
I thought I unmuted. All right. Hi everyone. Good afternoon or good evening. Thank you for having me on this webinar series. I apologize. I have to speak in English so that I can get the message across well and properly. But whatever I have presenting later, I will send it over to Bob and Fahmy, and they can then send it on to you with some translation if needed. All right. Okay. I'm also today, I think, thanks Fahmy for the very warm welcome. Not so new appointment. Today marks a special day for me. It's my 1 year in the job as exactly 1 year as the match official development consultant. Unfortunately, we haven't had any rugby or much rugby in this last 1 year, so I haven't been able to see a lot of y'all. Okay. I think just before I begin, maybe I just give you a bit information about myself. I am actually a teacher by training, okay, and then I left to become the general manager and CEO of Singapore Rugby Union. I was there for about 5 years, and then I left the union and I was asked to join Asia Rugby on a part-time basis for helping out in the competitions. And last year they asked me to do the match officials, and I said, okay, no problem. As a match official, I started refereeing in about 2002, I think, or 2001. And I managed to get onto the Asia Rugby panel in 2007. I was on the panel until 2013. Okay, and then I was there for another 3 years as a CMO. Firstly as a referee, then after that I became a CMO. So that's my journey in refereeing. I've done a few test matches while on the panel, and I think the highlight for me would have been Japan against Hong Kong in the women's matches as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about myself. Okay, and I think what we want to try and do is try and develop a scenario where that you can see how you can actually get to the Asia Rugby panel. Then there's a new committee in place at Asia Rugby, and there's a very different way of looking at things now. Asia being a very, very large region, a very big region, one of the biggest regions in the world. The new committee has decided to split it up into sub-regions. There's basically 5 sub-regions: Central Asia, South Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia, and West Asia. So all our development efforts, all our training and education will be targeted towards each region and what their needs are for each specific region. Okay, this means so there's a lot more opportunities for everybody, and I will touch on this a little bit more when I share my screen and my slides. Okay, so what the new regime is looking at also is more transparency. So hence the pathway to getting into a Asia Rugby match official or CMO is very transparent. You can actually see it's on the Asia Rugby website itself, the documents detailing how you can get there, what you need to do, and etc., how you get appointed to games, etc. So it's very transparent, and we're trying to give equal opportunity to everybody. So I think you are in a very advantageous position right now. Okay, so just allow me to share screen. Can everybody see this? Fahmy can see, right? Okay. All right. Okay.
All good, all good.
Yeah. Okay. So I think first and foremost, Malaysia Rugby is uniquely placed with a number of opportunities. You have top level rugby available. Your matches are recorded. Okay, you've got experienced CMOs, PRs available, and English is not so much of a barrier to you. Okay, if I go a little bit deeper, top level rugby, you are in the Asia Rugby Championships. I mean, yes, in the last 1 year or so, we haven't had much rugby. I mean, all around the world or all around our region. But if you take COVID out of the situation, Malaysia Rugby has got very good level of rugby. Okay, and you are in the top division of the Asia Rugby Championships, and these matches are recorded. They are shown live. Your local league matches are also recorded. They're shown live. Okay, and with coupled with some experienced CMOs, PRs, performance reviewers, I think you can actually use. These are all very good opportunities for you to try and develop as a match official, and increase your profile, and try and move towards a higher level of rugby. Okay, I will come back to this a little bit later. Okay, just give you exactly what you need right now. Pathway. I think first and foremost, we need to get the proper accreditation, which is our level 1s and our level 2s. Level 3 would be good to have. Okay, but I think the minimum requirement is a level 2. You cannot get onto the Asia Rugby panel without a level 2 15th MO certification. Okay. And I think you need to start refereeing consistently domestically, and you got to seek out further development opportunities. Like, for example, this webinar series, this online workshops that you are engaging in or you're taking part in. I think it's great that you're doing this, because you are keeping yourself abreast with what's happening. You're keeping at least your mind active. Then you have to move up the ranks in your domestic rugby. Move up the levels, try and get some of the top level matches. If no one is watching you, okay, you can ask, to be CMO, or ask your senior referees to try and review your matches to see where you're going wrong and how to improve. If nobody tells us anything, just like how a team needs a coach, a team needs a coach because player X or the fly half is not doing things correctly. The coach is going to say, okay, you got to kick it this way and not that way, or kick it to that direction and not this direction if these things happen. So just like that, as a referee, we also need coaches. Okay, we need to know where we've gone wrong, what we've done well as well, so that we continue to doing that. But if nobody tells us what we have done wrong, then we will come off the field thinking that, hey, I had a good game, so I've done everything well. So we are not correcting anything that we've done wrong. So I think that's quite important. Get somebody to review your games, CMOU. Worst case scenario, because your games are all mostly recorded, try and review your own game to see where you think you've gone wrong or how you think you can get better. The more you see yourself, the better you are going to get. Okay. And then there's a consistent performance. You cannot just have one good game and then after that, everything falls apart. So it needs to be consistently at a certain level. I can't stress this enough. You got to work on your fitness levels. It is one of the key requirements. It's not the only requirement, but it's one of the key requirements. Okay, because we have to keep abreast with the game, and the game at the top level is very, very fast. Okay, we got to know our laws, game knowledge. We've got to keep abreast with our laws. I think this is the great time. There's no rugby going on. We can do our rugby ready, do our rugby laws tests, refresh ourselves so that when rugby comes on or starts, we are ready to go. And communication. Domestically, yes, I think you can use Malay to speak to everybody. Everybody speaks the same language. But I think a couple of things that you maybe want to infuse while you are refereeing in Malaysia itself or domestically is certain words or certain terms that are in the law book or rugby related. Try and use them in English. So at least you get used to it, because once you go to Asia level, English is going to be the primary mode of communication. But you don't have to worry so much if your English proficiency is not very good. The key thing is to get the message across. So key phrases, ruck, roll away, or release, tackler, release. These kind of phrases, okay, you need to try and start practicing them in English, so that when you actually go to the Asia level, these are the phrases that will be used, and these are the phrases that the players will understand as well. So we have a bit of congruency there. Then comes the AR MO panel part. Once you've been performing at domestically, then we look at getting you appointed to AR panel. For this to happen, the union must nominate. Okay, it cannot be. I mean, the referee society and the union must be in conversation, and the union must nominate the personnel. Once you're on the panel, you'll be appointed to some games. You've got to perform well, and then to stay on the panel number 1 and possibly move up the panels. Okay. If there are any questions along the way, please do stop me and ask me. I'm happy to answer these questions. Okay.
George.
Yep.
Before you go further, on the panels for Asia Rugby, how many how many level you have?
Okay, so our panels I have for referees, there are 2 panels. Okay, one is the Asia Rugby panel, okay, the main panel, and then the other one is the emerging talent panel. Okay, so the emerging talent panel, we are looking at age is a factor as well for the emerging talent panel. Okay, a lot of them on that panel are between the ages of 23 to 27, 23, 27, 28, around there. But that doesn't mean that if you are older than 28, you are not going to get into the emerging talent panel. Okay, as long as I said, age is just a number, but if your fitness is there, your game knowledge is there, your speed is is at the mark, then we can include you, and we can move you up the panels as well. So, and when you are coming into the emerging talent panel, you must be able to referee both 7s and 15s. Okay. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Thanks.
Okay. So, as I said, fitness is a key component. Asia Rugby, we use the Bronco test. The minimum fitness standards for Bronco is, for the men, is 4.55 and 540 for the women. Okay, and then we need to do a 40-meter sprint test as well. Okay, because that's around the distance that you're going to be sprinting in a game. Okay, then game and law knowledge. Okay, law knowledge especially, there are a lot of constant changes, and you need to be updated. Now there's a law variations that have come in as well, so you need to be updated with this. Law interpretation and application. Reading the law is one thing, but how do you apply it on the field? Are you applying it correctly? So that's another aspect that you need to take note of. Are we applying the law in the correct way? And this is where you need to work with your coaches, or again, review your own performances and see whether this law, did I apply it correctly? If unsure, look for someone, get some clips, and see whether they can help you out as well. And game knowledge is the common trends in the game applied by coaches and teams. Okay, so we need to be aware as well. Some of the naughty little things, the tricks that the coaches and the teams who wanna do, So we must be aware, and we must not be caught out. So this the sharpness that comes when you are refereeing at the top panels or the top level of elite rugby. And then I come to communication, which I mentioned earlier. We want to communicate for preventive refereeing. So you know that this guy or this player is going to do something wrong. He's in a position. He's not in a good position to maybe jackal the ball. He's going to collapse, etc. So I think you can communicate. Red number 7, stay on your feet. Stay on your feet. Okay. So this way, you don't end up giving a penalty. Whenever we give a penalty, the game stops. People don't like to watch a stop-start game. You want the game to be free-flowing, moving as much as possible. So the referee has to facilitate this. Okay, and that's where you need to communicate for preventive refereeing. So you need to tell them and talk to them throughout the game. So you're actually doing a lot of talking throughout the game, and this is especially so in 15 aside. And I think language skills, like I mentioned, comes in. Try and learn some phrases. And composure. Composure means, you know, we are running on the field together with the players. Something happens. I think we need to take that split second, that 1 second, to calm ourselves down to before we make the decision. You know, is it a yellow card? Is it a red card? You know, speak to my assistant referee. So these are things that comes with a bit of experience, and you must be a little bit more composed. And these things, all these three things work in unison. Okay, the fitter you are, okay, your brain can work better, okay, during a game. And then the composure will just come in because you are fitter. Your brain is not so taxed. Okay, you are not breathing, not you're not so breathing not so heavily. Okay, you can actually think through the decisions and make a correct decision, and you know how to apply the law as well. Okay, because you are there, you're fit enough, and okay, I can think through what's happening and make the correct call. So they all work in unison. So you can't have one without the other. Okay, you might have the best game knowledge, you are communicate very well, but if you cannot sprint and be at that mark, it doesn't help you as well. Or if you cannot last the entire game, it doesn't help you as well. So all these three things come as a package. Okay, any questions on this? Okay, so these are some guidelines as to where the 40-meter sprints timing should be. I put there boys and girls. Okay, it can be men and women also. As you look, okay, those are the minimum. For the 40-meter sprint, we don't actually have a minimum score, but this is like a range where it's excellent, very good, fair. You don't want to be in the fair range. You want to try and to be in the good or very good range, you know. And that's where you should be working towards to. And this is the Bronco test, where the different ranges that you can actually see yourself. Of course, excellent is higher than what we've put down there. So that's why I say you got to be in the very good range to be considered for the Asia Rugby panel. Okay. Okay. And then we have to look at your accreditation and continuous development. Like I mentioned, you need a minimum World Rugby level 2, okay, to be even considered. If your nomination comes in and it's just a level 1, immediately I'm not even going to look at anything else. You know, it's straight out the window. So you need to work to get your level 2. And as I mentioned earlier, need to attend workshops, trainings, seminars where possible. Great that you guys are on this webinar. I think you need to work on your fitness. I know some of you guys, for example, Jeffrey, I know works on his fitness. Even though there's not much rugby going on, but he's constantly working on his fitness. I see that because I know him. I see his posts on Facebook and things like that. So I hope the rest of you are also working on your fitness in this time, you know. And what you can also implement in your fitness training, okay, is don't just go and do runs or sprints, you know. Maybe you want to do a bit of a sprint, come back, and what is law 10.4, you know, or you go a sprint and come back, maybe you have a few clips on your phone, play it and make a decision, you know. So although it's not real life rugby, you know, we were trying to replicate something, you know, because in a game, you're not just going to be sprinting and doing nothing. You're going to sprint, you're going to have to stop, you're going to have to make a decision, and then you're going to sprint and move somewhere else again. Okay, so these are things that you need to incorporate into your training so that it is as real as possible to the actual the match itself. Okay, and like I said, there's never an end to knowledge. You know, do not stop learning. For me, I'm still learning. I mean, with the new law variations that come in, I'm learning. I'm trying to adapt to it. I'm trying to understand what it means. How can, at this stage, I'm not really refereeing at elite level. I'm, you know, refereeing. If I go back to refereeing, I'll only be refereeing community rugby and all that. But for me, it's a different way of looking at things. How am I going to help the match officials to understand the new law variations? How am I going to help them to apply it? So at the same time, as a referee, you should be thinking, how am I going to apply this? What does it mean? Okay, why are they doing it as well? Then it gives you a bit of understanding of the game and where World Rugby wants to take the game as well. Okay, because like I alluded to the fact that we don't want to give too many penalties. World Rugby wants the game to be a little bit more spectator friendly. We want people to watch. They want the crowd to get excited. If the game is going to every time stop, start, stop, start, it's not going to be very exciting for the crowd, and then viewership will come down as well. And hence, that's what they want to try and develop a more free-flowing game. And we as referees, we facilitate this. Okay, so I think that's something that we have to bear in mind. Okay. This just a bit of information. I know our normal Asia Rugby calendar is been chopped and changed many times, but this is what we have for the remainder of the year. It's not much, but this is what we have, and hopefully we can actually carry on with this with these tournaments. And why I'm putting this here is, as you can see, there's an AR trophy West Asia in September. Then if you look further down, there is a Southeast and East Asia in November. Okay, as I said, Asia Rugby, they are moving into sub-regions, so there'll be a sub-regional tournament. And at these sub-regional tournaments, what we want to try and do is we want to try and get more of the referees from this specific region. So instead of getting a referee from UAE to come in to referee a Southeast Asia tournament, we want to get referees from East Asia and Southeast Asia. So it gives our referees, the Southeast Asia and East Asia referees on the panel, more opportunities to referee. It is also an opportunity for us to have a look at some of you guys who are not on the panel. Even before you're nominated, maybe we might call you up, to come over to, if you can actually travel, to have a look at you and see where you're at. Before we even look at nominations come in. So it's because for us, when your nominations come in, yes, it's a piece of paper, but sometimes from a piece of paper, it's very hard to tell whether person A is a good referee or not. When we actually can bring you in to have a look at some of the at your performances at some of these tournaments, then it actually gives us a better idea, to try and appoint you. And I think as things get better with COVID, hopefully, when tournaments are back up and running, I know Malaysia Rugby Union does host quite a number of tournaments, and me being so close to you guys, I tend to come up to have a look at you guys as well. So so that's why I say you have an added opportunity here, because me being so close, I can come and have a look at you guys, and then we can work our way from there. Okay, so just to give you a bit of information, these following match officials have been selected for World Rugby's 7th Development Squad and High Performance Squad. Not Asia Rugby, World Rugby. So Craig Chan, Morgan White from Hong Kong, Yako from UAE, and Mary Pringle from Singapore, they have been selected by World Rugby. Craig Chan and Yako are in the High Performance Squad. They are actually going to be in the World 7 Series. Okay, Craig Chan will be refereeing in the Singapore Sevens and the Hong Kong Sevens. Yako will be refereeing in the Dubai Sevens and the Cape Town Sevens. Okay, and then the other two are in the development squads, and we don't know what their appointments are. Why am I showing you guys this? Okay, some of you might think, oh, Hong Kong high level rugby. Yes, it is a high level rugby. Okay, but don't forget, Malaysia is playing at the same level as Hong Kong in the Asia Rugby Championships. Okay, so that's where the opportunity comes in. World Rugby wants people who are refereeing at a certain level domestically. Okay, Hong Kong has a high domestically it's a high level rugby, and I think Malaysia, you can aspire to that as well. Okay, you're already in the ARC, like I said, so that's something that you need to strive towards too. Okay, it'll be right now all the ARC matches or in the previous years has only been refereed by Hong Kong or Japan referee. You know, you don't see anybody outside of these two countries coming in. So it's an opportunity for Malaysia referees. If you look at Yako, he's UAE. I don't think UAE's level of domestic rugby is too far off from what Malaysia has, or maybe it's slightly lower than what Malaysia has. Okay, so again, it's an opportunity. He's worked very hard. He's very fit. Game knowledge is there. You know, so that's something that has helped him out. I think the most surprising thing would be Mary from Singapore. Singapore's level of rugby is far lower than Malaysia. Okay, but she's there because I think that's where we are looking at the age factor, and she's also female. So she's very young. She's female. Okay, so it's something that they World Rugby wants. They want a female faces, more female faces. So that's why she's probably there. Okay, I mean, to be fair, she's also just gone over to Scotland to study. So Singapore Rugby Union or Singapore Rugby, Referee Society has made an arrangement with Scotland Society to try and help her to develop in her refereeing also. So these are opportunities, you know, and I go back to sorry, I stopped my share. And I go back to these opportunities that I mentioned earlier, right? You must make use of it. You have I reiterate, you have a good level of rugby in Malaysia, and I think you need to make sure that you use that good level of rugby to your advantage. You need to make sure your refereeing matches the level of rugby that's being played in Malaysia. Okay, you don't want a situation where the players, the teams are performing at this level, and the match officials are performing at this level. You know, it should be a case of the match officials are performing at this level, and the players are here, or the teams are here. Okay, in this situation, this match officials, okay, you don't want to come down to this level. You should maintain your level and try and raise them up to your level in the game, okay, during a game. So, you know, so that's where you need to be very aware of your game knowledge. Your fitness has to be tip top. You know, your communication with the players and the teams needs to be very good as well. And with communication, I think one key aspect is you need to start building this relationship with the players and the coaches. And this starts from before kickoff. When you go in to check their boots, or when you go in to check their attire, etc. You know, that's when, and you speak to them, that's when you communicate with them. It's not this is what I'm telling you, you do this, okay? But let's work together so that everybody has a enjoyable game. You know, you help me out, I help you out. You know, everybody wins, and then at the end of the day, Malaysia Rugby wins. You know, so that's where I think I'm at. So for me, the last points will be the key takeaways, if anything at all. Maintain your fitness levels or increase your fitness levels. You know what are targets that you need to reach. Okay, get your knowledge, law interpretation, and application sorted out. Okay, review your games as much as you can. Okay, and train your communication skills and relationship building with the coaches, with the players, and especially on the field as well, certain phrases, etc. So you do step by step, you know, and it will help you to get where you want to get to. And I think the last thing is also depends on what your objectives are, or what your goals are. You know, you need to make sure what put in your goals. You want to be Asia Rugby panel, or you just want to be domestic top level. You know, once you have that goal, you put in a plan to work towards your goal. And I think you've got good people around you who can actually help you in your pathway upwards and forward. And I think if there are any other issues that you face, or you have stumbling blocks, I think you can always ask for a helping hand from Singapore Society if they have anything, or you can contact me as well, or you know, through Fahmy, or through Bob, or through Raja Saifu, you know, and then they can, and I can try and help you as best as we can. So that's where I am. That's the pathway to being a Asia Rugby match official. I think. Are there any questions for me, or you want me to speak, or you want me to explain a little bit more about anything else? I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
George, yep. For Asia Rugby, from Asia Rugby's perspective, how many women are into the panels now?
How many women are in the panel? I think that wait lah. I have it here. Let me dig it up. It's at the moment we have four women on the emerging talent panel, and 6 in the emerging talent panel, and 4 in the main panel.
All right. So from the 10 women, how many is from Southeast Asia?
How many from Southeast Asia? We have 3 from Southeast Asia, if I'm not wrong. 2 from Singapore and 1 from Philippines.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Any question, guys?
Yeah, can we get some of our participants to maybe ask by using the chat features, or you can also raise your hand to ask either George or Fahmy, or even our director of referee, Cikgu Ahmad Effendi, also here to answer all your questions. Fahmy, perhaps you can ask. I mean, you may need to ask more questions to George or anything while waiting for some of our friends to ask George or anything.
Oh yeah, George. Maybe some of the referee also wanted to know this. I think out of topic, but just yeah. How much the allowance that Asia Rugby paid for the games?
Okay.
Are they making money if you've been a match official for Asia Rugby anyway?
Okay lah. You cannot compare this to FIFA and football lah. Okay. I think that one we can't compare that to that. They don't make much. Okay. All flights, travel, internal, external, accommodation, meals, all this is catered for. All right. So all this is paid for if you are selected to go for a tournament. And then I think on a daily basis that you are there, if it's depends on whether it's 15 aside or 7 aside, the number of days are different. It's 25 USD per day. Yeah. So it's not what you think as like FIFA gives out. No.
All right.
FIFA is too rich.
All right.
All right, you guys can ask your questions in Malay as well, and then we'll try and get someone to translate, and then we can see where you go.
Come, take the chance, guys. Ada soalan.
George and also Fahmy, we do have a question from our friend in Facebook from Abdul Khayyum Khan. What is the core value needed for teenagers who are interested to start on officiating? Maybe George.
Yeah. Core value. I'm not sure whether this would be a value or not, but I think you need to have a love for the game. All right. If you have a love for the game, and maybe another value is perseverance. Okay, I think you can actually then look at developing yourself to higher levels. Why I say love for the game is because I think playing the game and refereeing the game are really quite different. Okay, but if you have the love for the game and you want the game to flourish, you want people to be able to play, there needs to be a referee. And then no referee, the game cannot carry on. Simple as that. Okay, so if you have the love for the game, you are able to move from a player, or onto a refereeing side, or from a spectator to a refereeing side of things. And then I say perseverance is because it is not an easy process when you start refereeing, because there's a lot of things that you need to understand, comprehend, and take into account. There's a lot of laws that you need to understand. Rugby has a lot more laws than football, so you need to understand that, and then after you need to apply it. And at the same time, you need to run around with the referees, with the players, so you need to know where you need to run, etc. So there's a lot of things that you need to take in. Okay, but if you have good perseverance, it's a step-by-step process. You build on it, and then you can actually reach the targets. Yeah. Along the way, your values or your goals might change, okay, depending on what level you are at. But I think these are two things that probably you need to kick off.
Right. Thank you very much, George, and thank you very much, Abdul Qayyum, for your question. And we welcome more question to George. Well, this is your best opportunity to ask anything to George on how to become a respected match official, especially in Asia Rugby and also in World Rugby. But before that, Josh, may I ask a simple question? How do Singapore Rugby Union develop their junior referee? I mean, how do you develop? You send your junior ref to overseas for to match official or anything?
Okay, so when you talk about junior refs, I'm presuming you mean the younger adult referees, because in Singapore there is also a junior referee panel. That means for referees who are below 18 years old. Okay, so we've got referees as young as 12, 14 years old, you know, and they referee the mini rugby games, etc. And those with potential, you know, we try and give them a few more games, let them run AR for some of the men's games, etc. and all these things. But for the junior adult referees, again, we segmentize them differently, you know, and according to their goals. What do they want to achieve? It's pointless I say referee A, you are going to be a high performance referee when he doesn't want to be a high performance referee. You know, so we need to match their goals. And then if you want to just be a community referee, yes, okay, great. You be a community referee. There are certain goals and expectations that are set for you. And if you are a higher level, then there are certain higher level expectations set for you. So if you asking whether we give them exposure overseas, etc., we try, but you know, funding is sometimes is an issue. But what we try to do is we try to get them more games in Singapore, look at them, and if they're really at a certain level, then we push them to go overseas. And I mean, previously, I mean, we have a good relationship with Malaysia, and you know, you have quite a number of tournaments, and we've been invited to some of these tournaments. And so there's and like I said, it's a slightly higher level rugby, so it's beneficial for us that way. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, George. And we do have a question from our participant, from Muhammad Shafiq Lukman. Hi, Mr. George. Kindly help to share the best key of criteria to become high performance MO, and also how the Asia Rugby examine or develop a MO before become a high performance MO.
Okay. Okay. Let me look at the question one more time. I think there are two parts of it. Okay, like I said, the key criteria to become a high performance match official is game knowledge, law interpretation and application, and fitness levels. I think you cannot go away from these things. You know, the three things, and of course the communication bit, the three things that I mentioned towards the last part of the presentation. So these three things are essential for you to become a high performance match official. You couple that with a good level of rugby. Okay, so when there's a good level of rugby, you know, and when you referee it, you also become better as you go on. So that's why I said Malaysia Rugby, you've got a great opportunity because you've got a decent level of rugby going on in your country. How the Asia Rugby examine or develop a MO before becoming a HPMO? Okay, I'm not quite sure. Maybe I think this is what you mean, but I'll answer two parts of it. One, at this current point in time, Asia Rugby doesn't really look at developing the referees on the panel. Okay, there are two sides to the story that we're looking at. We're looking at developing the number and quality of match officials in each region, so that each country has enough level 1s and level 2s. Okay, that's one part of it. And then once they are refereeing domestically, then they will actually come up to be nominated. The other part, maybe I guess you are asking, is from an emerging talent panel, how do they come up to the high performance panel? I think that's where your performance comes into play, because when you go to Asia Rugby matches, there will always be a CMO, there will always be a performance reviewer. So it's maybe a pressure situation, if you want to call it, but when you are given an opportunity to referee, you need to make sure you do a good job of it. And if you do a great job, the performance reviewer or the CMO will take note of it. And then that's when the review of panels come in, they will look at thinking of pushing you up to the high performance. Hope that answers the question.
Right. Thank you very much, George. And we do have our friend Zach, who is raising his hand.
Hi,
Zach,
Zach.
please.
Yeah, I was.
Hi.
Okay, so in term of standardize all the concept of MO within Southeast Asia and Malaysia. So do we see the prospect from Malaysia itself first, or and then we proceed to the higher level? Because I think some certain aspect of referee is the time during as a MO. Okay, so do you have any time or like 1,000 hours of referee, or so that they can we can be like a benchmark, so that all the MO have this time, so that they have the experience to gain knowledge before they go to the high performance MO.
I think it's I know what you mean by 1,000 hours of practicing, etc. But I don't think we can apply that for rugby refereeing, because the pathway can be short or fast. Okay, why I say short and fast? For an ex-player to come in to referee, it might be a little bit faster and easier. Why I say faster, easier is because he may already know quite a bit about the game. What is a ruck, what is a maul, all these things he knows already. Okay, and if he just jumping from, he just stopped playing now and is going into refereeing now, he's already at a certain fitness level. Okay, so then his pathway is shorter, and his game knowledge, etc., is a bit wider as compared to someone who is a parent, parent volunteer who picks up refereeing because the kid is playing rugby, or he's watching he's spectator and then he wants to pick up refereeing. I think the learning curve is a bit steeper or longer in a way. So I don't think it's the right to actually put a time frame to it. But I think, like what I mentioned earlier, if your fitness levels are a certain mark, if you understand the game and you can apply it and referee it well, then yes, you are eligible, or you are able to be nominated or moved up the panels. Yeah.
Because what is the suitable time for currently? Because the age which is suitable for the younger generation referee, and then how we can develop, because in Malaysia we have a lot of referee, and a lot of them is maybe at par because of the age of in performing at high performance. So what is the best idea, so that Malaysian rugby can produce the time frame and then the prioritization for the players to achieve what they want? Because you say that there's no time frame for the experience, but like if they are involving in rugby from earliest of 18 years old, like what is the top referee in the world concentrating from the younger age? So what is the best time and the age to before they are prime in their MO at the Asian level?
So I won't give you. I will give you a range, age range. Okay.
Yep.
So for sevens, we are ideally looking at people who are 23 to 28 years old. Of course, we can stretch it out to about 30, 31. Not a problem. Why is because sevens, as you know, even the players, the younger they are, the faster they recover. The next day, etc. Sevens, while the running is a lot harder, sprinting, etc. Your breakdown and all that is easier to manage in a way, because there's lesser players there. So younger, as you're developing your skills, as you are gaining experience, as you are working on your running lines, etc. So sevens helps you out in that way. But I think as we get older, past the 30s, between the range 31 to about 40 to 45, I think you can actually look to focus more on 15s refereeing. and that's because you're older, you're a little bit more mature. You know, the 15s game can be a bit slower sometimes. You know, it's not a fast-paced action-packed game as the sevens. So, and there's a lot more to think about. So as you develop along the way, you gain that experience, you gain knowledge, and easier for you to apply in that respect. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Josh. And we do have our friend Mat Syam. A question from Mat Syam, please. Silakan.
Hi Josh, apa
Hi.
khabar?
Hi.
Hi Josh, talking about the developing the women referee, especially in the Asia. So can you share with us what is the Asia Rugby program or Asia Rugby goals to develop the female referee, especially from Asia or from Southeast Asia, to put them in the World Rugby panel on the women? Because we're looking now, past 2-3 years, the increase of numbers from the female referee, but not from Asia in the World Rugby panels. So maybe Asia Rugby have a program or goals to develop female referee from Asia to put on the World Rugby panels. Maybe they can officiate the World Rugby 7 or Rugby Women or the Olympic Game 2024 after this. So did you have any program that Asia Rugby want to do for the female referee? Maybe exchange program from the country and country. So like example, in Malaysia, we also have little bit numbers of the female referees. The Malaysia Rugby also and the state also have tried to develop the female referee to put on the national panel, after that go to international or Asia. So during because of pandemic last year, so all the program was been stopped. So maybe next year when we free from the pandemics and all tournament can begins. So did any program from Asia Rugby want to do to develop the female referee from Asia and put them to the World Rugby panel, women referee? Because we see now no numbers from the Asia Rugby women referee in the World Rugby. So maybe after this we can put from female referee from Asia in the World Rugby panels, especially to the maybe World Series or Women World Cup, and maybe for the 2024 Olympics. So can you explain to us, please? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Mat Syam.
I think it's a good question. To actually have, I mean, we do have a plan of sorts. Okay. The plan is basically, as I mentioned earlier, divided into sub-regions. So we're looking at each sub-region in Asia first and foremost, and to see what numbers there are. We need the quantity first before we can actually look at the quality. So we need to get more women to start picking up the game to referee. So we're looking at all the various 5 regions to see where they are. For some regions, you know, it is a case of, I'm not so bothered about the gender. I just want to get the numbers up first because I don't have enough referees to even fulfill the games that I have. Okay, and for those who are stable enough in that respect, okay, I think the next target that we are trying to get them to is to try and entice or encourage more females to come in to start refereeing. Okay, because if you don't have the numbers, there's no way you can get people at the quality. So you need your base, slightly broader base. Okay. Having said that, because we've got so few numbers of women on referees in Asia or in the Asia panel, I think we're trying to give them a little bit more of specific coaching. You know, we've seen that Mary, for example, is being able to get onto the development squad. So, and as such, you know, we can actually look at pushing more people up onto the panel. So it's going to be a lot of targeted approach. Firstly, the unions must nominate. As I said, that's the process. The unions must nominate the female referees. So now we've got a couple of referees from Japan. We've got a couple of referees from Hong Kong. We've got one from Philippines and 2 from Singapore. So these are the referees that we are looking to try and develop. Hopefully we are looking at getting them specific coaches from our CMO panel. You know, so Asia Rugby has a panel for CMOs. We maybe take 1 or 2 of them to match up with a few of these female referees, and they can constantly work with each other. And also, I think we need to give them more exposure to the games, to referee higher level games. And as you saw, our calendar this year is not a lot of rugby that's going to go on. So, at least we can actually look at trying to get them more games, and then slowly higher quality games, so that World Rugby can then take notice, because World Rugby only take notice if they're refereeing at a certain level, or the games are at a certain level. So it's a slow process. We've got to build them up, and that's why age is a factor as well, because we want to catch them a little bit younger, so that we can develop them a little bit longer in that way. Yeah. So that's
Right, thank you very much, Sham. Is there any question from our participant?
George,
Yeah,
Yes.
please for me.
based on the situation that we had 2018 and 2019, that time you was what do you call
Match commissioner.
match commissioner, and also the tournament director for Asia Rugby, right?
Yeah.
By the way, it was Malaysia was playing in ARC League 2018 and 2019. But why none of Malaysia was in some of the players was in the panels as well, and then why none of the Malaysian be match officials during the ARC Premier?
As in the referee in the middle.
Yeah, in the middle, and also AR2, AR3.
Okay. That one I really cannot answer you because, as I mentioned, because there was a different management team. Okay. And there were different processes in place. I wasn't a match official consultant then, so it'll be a little bit hard for me to answer that question. But I think if I put it across very plainly, I'm not sure why you were not AR, because at least one AR should have been from MRU. But I think the other reason probably could have been because they were not at a certain level yet, or there are myriad of reasons that I cannot explain at the moment. So the best thing for me to say is not to answer that question, because it was a different team that was looking after the tournaments and the referees at that time. So they probably had a different way of doing things and looking at things differently. Yeah.
So moving forward, you will choose the match officials or choose the AR based on the criteria you've been set up for coming up?
Yes, so the criteria has been set, but just to let you guys know, I don't do it on my own. There is a team of people. So whatever the nominations or appointments come in, there is a group of 6 people on the panel, selections and appointments panel, who will say, okay, this guy is ready for to be on the panel or not. Yes, he's ready for this kind of games or not. So it's a group, it's a collective decision, not just one person, me alone. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Fahmy. Thank you, Josh. We are still waiting for any question from members of the floor. Maybe Mr. Silva or anything. Cikgu Fendi, if you want to ask anything to George or yeah.
Okay, I just want to answer one question. If the Asia Rugby still one criteria is about age under 25 to be AR development match official. Rugby strict about the age.
Okay, I say it's a range. It's not a defining criteria. As I said, the defining criteria are you need to be level 2 MO. Okay, you need to have your fitness results. You need to have your law results, your law tests. Okay, and you need to be refereeing at your highest level domestically. Okay, if you are 45 years old, you have your level 2. Your Bronco test is within the mark, and if your 40-meter sprint is within the mark, and you've been refereeing domestically, I don't see why we cannot put you on the panel. Okay, but I think then again also, you want to have a bit of a longer runway on the panel. So there is no retirement age. There's no age where you can start as well. So it's basically dependent on the criteria of level 2 accreditation, fitness results, sprint results, okay, and refereeing at the highest level domestically. I think that's something that you should bear in mind. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you very much, Mr.
So,
Fendi.
George, you did
Fahmy.
mention like people like 40 years old, 41, 42, 43, if they can beat the junior men, they are still can into the panel, is it?
Yeah, I say the criteria doesn't state age.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good chance for you, Raja, to get back to panels again. All right.
George,
The fitness test is very important. The fitness.
one more question. How long is the cycle of the AR for the community? Because you say that there's one before this is the different management, and now it's a different management. Because we at least we know how long is the cycle for the Asian rugby community before they change, or any something that different can be done, so that we can plan.
To add on the Zach's question, how long the AR process? I mean the what do you call the time for the management, and then the number 2, how long is the panel will be last?
Okay, so for AR every 2 years there's elections. Okay, so then of course depends on who wants to run, etc. That's at the EXCO executive committee that level. For your other question, which regards to the panels, okay, I think the panels are widely available to be seen on the Asia Rugby website. I think you can see it for yourself. You can go in and see who's on and who's not on. And this panel, what we are hoping to do is we are hoping to do a review every year. Okay, so that means in January, come January, everybody steps down from the panel. The union nominates, all the unions who want to nominate, and then we look to put people back onto the panel. So it's a yearly renewable panel. Yeah. Okay, but I think going back to Zach's question as well, I think you don't have to worry about that too much, because the criteria don't change. Whether there's a new committee in place or old committee, I think the criteria don't place. The criteria have been there. Maybe it's not been openly said or explicitly said, but these are the criteria are still are quite transparent, which is your level 2 and your fitness results, and you have to be refereeing at their highest level domestically. So I think that if you are able to aspire and perform at those levels, then I think it's you should be in a pretty decent position.
But all is by appointed by from MR, right? Because or you can see from the what perspective of the coaches of the referee MO, or all
yes,
must be appointed by MR.
So to be on the Asia Rugby panel, you need to be nominated by MRU. You need to be nominated by MRU. Where with your nomination, there are certain things that you need to submit together with your nomination. You need to submit your fitness results. You need to submit your accreditation, your law test, etc. And also you need to submit a video, or at least give us a link of a video of a match that this person has been refereeing. So at least we can actually see the person refereeing and see how his refereeing is. Yeah. So that's how we make the decisions.
Right, thank you, Zach. Thank you, Fahmy, for the question. And perhaps, George, maybe you can explain to us. I mean, apart from Asia Rugby, is there any collaboration? I mean, in terms of regional, the Southeast Asia, between Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, or maybe is there any collaboration currently or previously, especially in refereeing, to develop a referee?
Yeah, I don't know where we are going to go forward, because for any sort of collaboration to take place, we must have competitions. If there's no competitions, no amount of collaboration is going to actually bear any fruit, because a referee needs games to referee.
I see.
Previously, I think we had a bit of a loose collaboration where we used the C7s, and we brought in a lot of referees who were not on Asia Rugby panel, but they are there or thereabouts, so that we brought them in so that some of the selectors from Asia Rugby could have a look at them, and then some of them actually, based on the performance in the C7s, they got into the Asia Rugby panel. So I think that is something that we can look at, especially in Southeast Asia region or in every other region. In that light, I think we've also put in place, or I've put in place, regional champions for match officials, to help me out essentially. So I've got one in Central Asia to look after all the Central Asian countries, have a look at them. I've got one in South Asia, that's Dilroy. I've got one more person in West Asia, East Asia, and I've got one in South. I've actually got two in Southeast Asia. Basically, I've got Fikri from Indonesia, and I've got Charlie Brown from Singapore to try and help me out to look at more talent that's coming through and things like that. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Josh.
Yeah.
So maybe last question, either from Fahmy or Encik Fendi or anyone. It's already 6:13 p.m. in Malaysia. It's already 1 hour and 13 minutes, or maybe we can get some last question from members of the floor. Please.
Yang lain tanya lah, saya selalu tanya dia.
In future, maybe starting coming January, if everything's good, is it available for us? Is it applicable for us that Singapore invite us to blow 1 or 2 matches for Singapore Rugby League?
Okay, for that one, you need to contact the Singapore Rugby Union or the Singapore Society, Referee Society, because I cannot speak on behalf of them. I don't hold any position within SSRUR or SRU. So I think, I think you can actually contact them, and I believe there were some ideas of having a crossovers. Some Singapore referees come over and some Malaysia referees to come down to Singapore to referee before all this stops. So I'm not too sure whether it's still on the cards or not, but it's something that we can look to develop, or you guys can start the conversation. Yeah.
Last one, Josh. How can our Malaysian referee to help you as a panel also to select all the young talented referee also from Malaysia, like the Indonesian and the Singapore guys that you appointed? So how can we help to be nominated to help you? So what is the criteria that you need?
So these guys are just people that I have approached on a volunteer basis to have a look, because Charlie Brown will be somebody I would send, in normal circumstances, I would send over to Malaysia. If you're having certain tournaments, you have a look at your referees and things like that. And Fikri, because Indonesia is quite large, and also because Indonesia was looking, previously they were hosting the Asian Games, they're looking to host other games as well. So that's where we want to try and develop some MOs over in Indonesia. He's also going to help me to try and translate certain things into Bahasa Indonesia, so then we can of course pass it on to you guys. There are some differences, I know, but we can look at see how the translations can work on those materials. But yeah, these are all just volunteer, son, and they're very targeted approach, specific. So Charlie is actually going to supposedly, if everything is in the normal times, will come over to Malaysia and have a look. I will come over and have a look as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because in Malaysia we all do for volunteer because of pay for the sports.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, but as like I said, because we do the nominations twice a year now, from now on, if there are any guys you want to put on panel, just send in the nominations or highlight to me. I'll look at get somebody to come and have a look. I've got Siva, who's on the CMO panel as well. You know, so there's a lot of people who can actually have a look at these referees. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right, thank you very much, Zach. There you are, ladies and gentlemen. The time is now 6:16 p.m. I think that's all about it. I think no more questions from members of the floor or even our friends in on the Facebook as well. Well, thank you very much, George, for a very informative presentation and the Q&A session and all that. And maybe is there any announcement from the Academy Rugby Malaysia? Perhaps Mr. Ahmad Effendi would like to announce something. I mean, since this is the finale of our refereeing webinar, perhaps there'll be more webinar covering all parts or all elements in rugby, perhaps, Mr. Ahmad Effendi.
Okay, terima kasih Bob. Actually, bukanlah the final day. Kita ada beberapa lagi webinar untuk lain-lain disiplin dalam rugby. So harap semua dapat kita dapat berkongsi ilmu-ilmu, knowledge yang biasanya kita dapat di peringkat Asia Rugby, di peringkat universiti yang kita bawa melalui webinar ni, kita share semua tu ke peringkat akaumbi. Jadi untuk memartabatkan lagi semua rugby di Malaysia. Dan saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada semua yang memberi sokongan dan dorongan. Mana jika sebarang apa-apa cadangan dialu-alukan. Amatlah dialu-alukan. Itu dari saya. Terima kasih.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad Effendi. Mr. Siva, would you like to add any comments?
Good evening.
Yes,
good evening, gentlemen. Okay, George, thank you very much to spend your time, precious time with us. I would like to thank you for all this knowledge that you have given us. For your info, Mr. George,
Yes.
we are having our academy, Cikgu Maniam. This is where we're going to produce some of the young elite referees. We are preparing them for Asia panels, you see. So hopefully we'll try to help you out, and then we need all your assistance and knowledge to impart with us for producing our new talented referees in Malaysia. And we have at present the academy is going to be a stepping stone for us in Malaysian rugby. So thank you very much, Josh, for being with us this evening.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm glad that you're doing something in memory of Mr. Maniam, because he was my first CMO in my first appointment in Asia Rugby when I went to Taiwan. Taiwan, correct. Yes. So he helped me out quite a bit in my beginning in Asia Rugby. So hopefully I can do the same for some of the younger guys on the MRU top panel.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Siva, and thank you very much, George. Perhaps last word from Fahmy, Vice President of MRU, before we close the session, before we end the session. Sorry.
Bob, okay. Thank you very much, George, for your time again. I hope that the knowledge that you will share to us today will be used from the participants from National Rugby Union perspective. So hopefully next time we can do same like this again, but different story or different reference.
Face to face.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So thank you very much from MRU, George.
Thank you very much for having me. I wish you guys all the best. Hopefully I see you all on the circuit somewhere soon. Okay. Stay fit and stay healthy, everybody.
Okay, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Mr. George Danapal, and also Fahmy, Sir Ahmad Effendi, Mr. Siva, and the rest of the members of the floor. Well, last but not least, can we just on our camera for our photo session? There you go, for our photo session. Then, okay, hold on, yeah. So we set the escalator. Okay, can we get all the members of the floor to join us for the photo session? Okay, sure. So. All right, everyone look at the camera. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we go for the next page. Hold on, yeah. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there you are, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the end of our session of today's webinar. On behalf of the Academy Rugby Malaysia, we would like to express our gratitude to Mr. George Danapal, Mr. Fahmy, and the rest of the participants. It is such great to have you all of you here for this webinar. And Academy Rugby Malaysia will hold more webinar in the future, so there will be an announcement from time to time in our Facebook of Malaysia Rugby Union Facebook. So stay tuned with more webinar coming soon. So with that, thank you very much and hope to see you again next time. Thank you from all of us. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and see you again next time. Bye.
Thanks, George.